In folklore, the witching hour, or devil's hour, is a time that is associated with supernatural events, whereby witches, demons, and ghosts are thought to appear and be at their most powerful. Definitions vary and include the hour immediately after midnight or the time between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. The phrase witching hour began at least as early as 1775 in the poem Night and Ode by Reverend Matthew West, though its origins may go further back to 1535 when the Catholic Church prohibited activities between the 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. time frame due to emerging fears about witchcraft in Europe. In the Western Christian tradition, the hour between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. was considered a period of peak supernatural activity. This time is also referred to as the devil's hour due to it being a mocking inversion of the time in which Jesus supposedly died, which was 3 p.m. So 3 p.m., the exact opposite is 3 a.m. I got that information from Wikipedia. It's always, I always hear that, like it's mocking things to do with the Christian religion specifically. Like you hear, like, you know, I just read that. I didn't even put that together. 3 p.m., the opposite being 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But I have heard the thing about 3 knocks being a mocking of the Trinity, because the Trinity
Like
is the
3
Father.
disembodied knocks, right? Like,
Yeah, you hear 3 knocks and you don't know where it came from. At your door, and you look and there's no one there, or you're laying in your bedroom and you hear 3 knocks. In fact, in the Conjuring movie, at least, I don't know if this was something Ed Warren actually said, but they were saying we hear knocks like in the walls, and he was like, "Is it in succession of 3?" And I said, "Yeah," and he was like, "Mocking of the Trinity. It's common with demonic activity." And so I don't know if that's real. I couldn't find any. I've always heard that too, but I couldn't find anything because I actually looked into that too, and I couldn't find anything about that being the mocking of the Trinity or whatever. But what I do know is that I've had some creepy happenings at 3 a.m. myself. We were in the bedroom in this very house.
I was present for this.
Yes, we were sleeping because this happened at 3 a.m., remember?
It's starting to come to me.
We were sleeping here in this very house, and I woke up in the middle of the night. I didn't know what time it was at this point, with the strong sensation like someone was looking at me.
That is the worst.
And
then, like, I don't know, I read this randomly, probably on the internet somewhere. If you wake up in the middle of the night, it's because someone's staring at you, and that just stuck with me.
Yes, yeah. And if you feel like someone's staring at you, a lot of the times you're right, because if you look, like you could be sitting at work, for instance, and you feel like someone's looking at you, and you look, and then like you catch someone and they look away really quick. Like, how many times does that happen? Mm-hmm. So it's like a sixth sense that we all have. Someone is staring at me, and you realize that something tells you that. And I woke up with that feeling in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's such an eerie feeling.
Yeah, so I woke up with that feeling, and I just kept like my eyes closed. I was like, "Oh God, I'm just spooked. That's all. There's nothing actually happening." And of course, I don't know about you, but knowing about the witching hour or the devil's hour, I think of it every time I wake up in the middle of the night.
Like, I bet
And I'm
it's
like,
3 a.m.
I hope it's not 3 a.m. And I did not want to look, so I didn't. I just laid there and I tried to fall back asleep. And I couldn't do it. I was like wide awake at this point, paranoid. And I was like, I'm going to take a melatonin to try to fall back asleep. And so I keep the melatonin on the nightstand. And it's pitch black in the room, so I can't see anything even when I do finally open my eyes. Don't want to turn the lamp on, wake you up. So I just reach over and I click my phone so that the light comes up and I can see the bottle. And of course, when I click my phone, it's 2:45 a.m. So 15 minutes to 3. And I grab the bottle, get a melatonin, pop it in, and roll over. And trying to go back to sleep, thinking about that feeling. But at this point, it's gone, you know? Like, once you get a little light in the room, it's like, okay.
You look around, no one's standing there.
Yeah, it's okay. And so I roll over, And I'd say about 15 minutes it takes the melatonin to kick in. So now, of course, it is 3 a.m. And at that time, I've had sleep paralysis quite a bit, as you know. This time was the one and only time I can think of, actually, where I was falling to sleep into sleep paralysis. Because normally you wake up, they say it's during your REM cycle, where you're in like the deepest part of your sleep, your REM cycle with your eyes or whatever. That's what causes like sleep paralysis, and you wake up during that and your body's like still asleep and you're frozen. I was falling into that feeling. I was falling,
felt your body become lifeless.
it was like moving up my body, and I would start shaking. I was shaking myself so that I wouldn't fall into it. And I did that a couple of times, and I kept shaking out of it. And I don't know if at some point I finally fell asleep or what, because to me, what I remember is I keep shaking off that feeling of sleep paralysis, and then all of a sudden I start hearing whispering around the room. And it's like a lot of whispering, like around the room. It's like, and I'm like, what the freaking crap? And it's like, cuts to silence. And then I hear right in front of my face, did you hear that?
Ew.
And freaking chills on my whole body. But I'm facing you.
That's like taunting.
Yeah. Did you hear that? And I'm like, was that, maybe it was Kristen, because it was like a female voice. But that would be spooky too if I heard that whispering and then you said, did you hear that?
Ugh.
But I open my eyes and you're freaking still laying there sleeping. And so I'm like, oh my God. Like, what in the freaking world is happening? So that was a 3 a.m. happening for me. I remember I told that story on Terraform. In case y'all don't know what that is, it's the last podcast that we did before this one. And I remember my sister, Jessica, who I've interviewed here on Off Brand Horror a few episodes back, had commented on that video. And she was like, Josh, I've been hearing whispering.
Like she was at that present, like, you know,
she was
during that time was hearing it too in the middle of the night?
Yes, she was hearing in the middle of the night a woman whispering. A woman's voice whispering at her.
It's like
it was whispering her name.
Seems like a witch was like cursing y'all or something, or
yeah.
Ooh.
So I remember that, and then that was freaky, and then that was around 3 a.m. as well. And so that's two things that have happened. And then me and Jessica, actually, when we were younger, had an experience where we were both in our own rooms on this side of the hallway. My mom's room was on the other side of the hallway, like in the center. And I don't know what time it was. I know it was nighttime because I was laying in there sleeping, and I heard someone whispering my name. It was Josh, 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 and I freaked out, and so I like jumped out of bed and I took off running towards my mom's room. And like when I run out of my mom's room, like my sister had I had just seen my sister run into my mom's room. And by the time I get in there, Jessica, my sister, is like, Mom, somebody's whispering my name. And that stuck with me forever.
And then it happened again as y'all got older.
When we got older.
Either entity is following y'all around or a witch is constantly after y'all.
I wouldn't doubt. We've always said we're cursed.
I know.
We're a cursed
it's all like coming together and starting to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like what started it? We need to get to the root of it.
We need to get to the root of the issue. Who has cursed
Who and
us?
why?
Why have they cursed us?